On March the 7th, 1949, NBC broadcast the Audie Murphy story on a popular radio program called This Is Your Life. It goes into Audie's background and features people who knew Audie over a period of years. Please pay close attention to Martin L. Kelly, Jim Fife, and Claudine Tipton. In both the book and the movie version of To Hell and Back, the character known as Kerrigan was modeled after Martin Kelly. Jim Fife provided the model for Swope. Claudine Tipton was the daughter of Lattie Tipton, who was killed in the action that brought Audie the Distinguished Service Cross. So here is that most important radio broadcast from 1949. This is Your Life.
Morris presents This Is Your Life. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight marks another presentation of a distinguished series of radio broadcasts as Philip Morris Cigarettes bring to the American audience This Is Your Life, starring Ralph Edwards. And whose life do we search tonight, Johnny?
Tonight, this is your life, Mr. Audie Murphy of Farmersville, Texas.
Good evening, Mr. Murphy. I want you to meet your guide for this trip through your past, our friendly This Is Your Life host, Ralph Edwards.
Thank you, Art Ballinger. Hi, Audie.
Hello, Ralph. How are you?
Good, feller. How you doing?
Pretty good, thanks.
Feel all in shape now?
Oh, shaked up, you mean? Sure do.
You recognize that music behind us, Audie?
Certainly do.
Yes, sir, indeed. The eyes of Texas are upon you, as are the eyes of the world, Audie. I took a little liberty with the phrase there. You don't need any introduction to our audience because they know that you're the guy born on a sharecropper's farm near Kingston, Texas, who, before he was old enough to vote, came out of the Army after V.E. Day as the most decorated soldier of World War II. Audie, with your permission, we're going to talk to you about your childhood around Kingston and Lane and Celeste and Greenville.
Say, you've been checking up on me.
Yeah, I sure have, boy. All in the great state of Texas. And we're going to talk, too, about those rugged, tragic days in Sicily and Anzio and southern France and in Germany itself. Do we have your permission for that, Audie?
Go ahead, Ralph.
All right. Now, there's little luster we can add to the honor that is already yours. So in reviewing the short 24 years of your life here tonight, we're not so much paying tribute to you, Audie Murphy, as we are to those of your buddies who didn't come back, the boys who you call the real heroes of the war. Well, we're going back now, Audie, back to the little farm just outside of Kingston, Texas. Little farm your father, Emmett Murphy, worked as a sharecropper raising cotton. One of your earliest recollections is sitting strapped in a baby swing while your mother battled the weeds in a nearby cotton patch. Is that right?
That's right.
You see, we know a few things about you, boy. One of the first chores you had to perform as a little shaver was to collect wood along the stream banks and carry it home on your back. How old were you then, do you recall?
Well, not offhand, Ralph. Pretty young, though.
Pretty young indeed. A turn at the hoe, the plow. This is your life around 1929 as a Texas farm boy, one of 9 children in the family of a cotton sharecropper. 1930. You're 6 years old here in 1930, Audie, and you're in the first grade at Celeste Grammar School. Who was your first teacher, Audie, in the first grade, that is? Can you think back there?
Well, that seems a long time, Ralph. I can stop shaking long enough to think. No, I can't.
Miss Eileen, wasn't it?
Miss Eileen.
Miss Eileen McGuire?
Eileen McGuire, that's right.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Now, of Leonard, Texas, I thought you might be happy to know, or anxious to know, where she's the wife of Mr. Biff Conley, a prominent druggist of Leonard, Texas.
That's right, Ralph, but I can tell you something about Audie.
Well, now, wait a minute. Who's this?
You better not.
Who is this, anyhow?
I'm the one who used to put Audie in the cloakroom.
Well, for goodness sake. Yes, sir, the school teacher. Your first teacher, Audie, Mrs. Biff Connolly, your first teacher. A most important part of your past, flown to Hollywood by TWA, Trans World Airlines Constellation. Now, what can you tell us about Audie back here in 1931? You recognize her now,
Yeah,
don't you?
I certainly do. I even remember the cloakroom.
You,
You would, wouldn't you?
What did you say?
You would, wouldn't you?
Yes. Now, Miss Eileen, we should say here in 1931, tell us a little bit about Audie, eh?
Well, the week before Christmas vacation, the school has its usual holiday program.
Yes.
Santa Claus was busy at the North Pole and couldn't make it, so Audie was our Santa Claus.
Audie Murphy was Santa Claus, but he was just a little shaver.
Not when he got the pillow stuffed in his costume.
I'll bet the real Santa Claus would have been proud of you, Audie. Thanks, teacher. 2 more years slip by. It's 1933, Audie, April 1st to be exact. Does that date mean anything to you, aside from the fact it's April Fool's Day? Maybe not.
No.
That's the day you and the
offhand.
family moved to Celeste, Texas. Now, who was the boy there you used to go hunting and fishing with back there in Celeste, Audie? Can you think?
Well, let me think.
A guy named Monroe, wasn't there?
Monroe Hackney.
Yes, he's a guy back there. Whatever happened to him, do you know?
Well, he's farming down there, Celeste.
He is. He's still on a farm there in
Yes,
Celeste,
he is.
Texas. Uh-huh.
Not right this moment, though, Audie.
Hey!
No, because you're right here, too. Aren't you, Monroe?
Howdy, partner. Hello there, neighbor.
Oh, my. What'd you call him? All
I
right.
better not call him that here, right?
Yeah, oh, you better not call him here. Well, you and Audie used to hunt together, Monroe. Was Audie a good shot?
I'll say he was. We had to be, because we weren't hunting for fun of it. Whatever we shot was food for his family, and sometimes we could afford only one shell.
Yes.
It's all right, boy. My knees are going, too.
Well, so you had to learn to shoot swiftly and accurately, an ability that came in handy later on for Private, Sergeant, and finally Lieutenant Audie Murphy of the United States Army. This is your life, Audie Murphy. We'll go on here. We'll be ready to go into the war years in just a moment. But first, a breather. We'll stop those knees shaking.
Oh.
Monroe's, too. Ready to go on, Audie?
I think I can stand it, Ralph.
We're digging them up, aren't we, fellas?
Fire away.
Yes, sir. Everything all right? All the facts correct so far.
That's true.
All right. Let's move along then with the years with the inspiring story of your life, Audie Murphy. The story of a boy who dreamed of being a soldier and what became of that dream. In 1937, Hitler repudiated the Versailles Treaty. Your mother gave up sharecropping and took her children to live with your married sister, Mrs. Corrine Burns, in Farmersville. You're 15 years old in 1939, Audie, and you're working as a farmhand for Haney Lee near Floyd, Texas, right?
That's true.
Hitler's troops pour across the Polish border, and England is at war with Germany. In 1940, your mother passes on, and you go to work in a combination general store, garage, and filling station in Greenville.
That's true.
France capitulated to Hitler, and the British valiantly evacuated the troops from Dunkirk. 1941, Pearl Harbor. But you're only 17, so you have to wait for your next birthday before you can enlist. The dream of becoming a soldier is nearing reality. 1942, June 20th, your birthday. Did you enlist that day, Audie?
Well, I tried to, Ralph.
What did you try to get into that day?
Well, I tried to get into the Marines.
Marines?
First,
And they turned you down?
Yes.
Why, man?
Didn't weigh enough.
Well, how do you like that? Too small to fight in the Marines. What'd you do then, Audie, huh?
Well, I tried to enlist in paratroopers, Ralph. And,
Well, why?
well, I...
You liked their boots, didn't you?
Yes. Wonderful boots.
For one thing. What luck did you have? Audie?
No luck at all.
Why?
Underweight again.
Turned down again. Now your Irish blood reached the boiling point. So you tried the infantry. With what result, Audie?
They didn't ask you many questions. They said you're in. You're light on your feet. You'll make a good one.
You'll do. And off to the induction center you went in a bus. The first time you'd been more than 100 miles away from home. Not too happy about the turn of events, your parting words to your sister in Farmersville were, I'll try to do my share of the fighting. Yes, this is the Army, Mr. Murphy. Do you want to tell us what happened to you during your first close order drill?
I'd rather not, Ralph, but maybe I'd better come clean.
What happened, fella?
I fell flat on my face.
Passed out cold. And
sure
got
did.
the nickname Baby because you look so young. Yeah, we went way back, boy.
You certainly did. I'm wondering how much further back you can go.
And your commanding officer wanted to send you to the cook and baker school, didn't he?
Yes.
But you stuck to your guns, determined to be a combat soldier.
I hate my own cooking.
And in February of 1943, you sailed for North Africa as a replacement. Where did you land, Audie?
Casablanca.
and you joined Company B of the 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division at Port Lattie, 80 kilometers north of Casablanca.
Yes, I measured them with my foot.
And you stayed with that same outfit throughout the war, didn't you?
Certainly did.
And met some of the greatest guys in the world.
I think so, Ralph.
Hey, Murph, how about getting us a helmet full of nuts across the road there, the Arab market?
Who's that, Audie?
You dirty sergeant.
Hey, wait!
Told you, didn't I?
Yes, sir, your old buddy Martin L. Kelly, now of Bar Harbor, Maine.
That's all right.
Good.
Oh, he looks awful. He looks awful, just like he always looks.
That's no way to talk to a sergeant.
Oh, snap too. I outrank him now, you know.
Huh? Yeah, that's right, too. You outrank me. I better watch what I'm saying,
You
then.
better watch it, Martin. How long since you've seen him?
I think it's about 4 years, isn't it?
Yes.
Last time I saw him was in the hospital, I think.
Is that so?
Yeah, he was gold bricking around.
Wait a minute now. Did you get that helmet full of nuts?
Yes,
You did, huh?
Yeah.
How about that?
He pulled his
Oh,
seniority
we've
on
left him
me.
into it, but he sure got even with us. They picked the smallest guys, drilled the big ones. And Murph sure drilled the pants off us.
On a summer morning in 1943, you landed on the shores of Sicily, Audie. And on January 22nd, 1944, began the bitter 4-month stalemate on the Anzio Beachhead. You went in on January 25th and learned that the day before, your machine gunner had been severely injured. Who was that, Audie? You call that boy an Indian boy?
Yes, Fife.
Right.
Fife.
James R. Fife.
That's right.
A man you greatly admired for his unlimited courage.
Very much wrong with Murphy's courage here.
There wasn't much wrong with Murph's courage either. Say, now, don't tell me that you're... Well, for goodness sake...
Hey, Chief!
How you doing, Murphy? Over.
It is James R. Fife, right?
That's right.
Ah, Chief, it's good to see you again.
What does he call you, Chief, eh? Where are you from?
Oklahoma.
Seminole, Oklahoma. Yeah, sir, he looks pretty good, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He sure does.
How long since you've seen each other?
Since I see Murphy 4 or 5 years ago, Anzio Beachhead.
That's true.
Well, you'll get a chance to renew your friendship at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, where there'll be a little get-together for all of you right after the broadcast. But right now, Sergeant Audie Murphy has directed the artillery fire that has disabled a German tank. Is that right, Kelly?
That's right. Yeah, and then Murphy took out a patrol across the field, machine gun fire, and
Swept with machine gun fire.
and put the tank out of action for good, and blasting it off the treads with rifle grenades.
You betcha. And for your part in that deed, Audie, you received your first decoration, the Bronze Star. That was the first one. You also were offered a field commission on Anzio, Audie. Why did you turn it down?
Well, Ralph, you see, they have a ruling in the Army. If they promote you from the ranks, they usually transfer you to a new outfit.
I see. You're afraid you'll be transferred to a new company?
That's true. I'd been with this one so long that I wanted to stick with them.
I see. So on D-Day in southern France, August 15th, 1944, you went in as a staff sergeant instead of a second lieutenant. August 15th, the night marriage day filled with action, a day that brought you the Distinguished Service Cross and the grief over the death of one of your best friends, Lattie Tipton. Tippy was a great guy, wasn't he, Audie?
Sure.
A happy guy thinking of home in Irwin, Tennessee, and of his little girl who was always writing him those wonderful letters. The rest of you came almost to know that daughter of his just from hearing Tippy tell about her letters. Cheerful, newsy letters about her school and her friends and her little girl growing up problems. Memories like that stick around, don't they, Audie? Knowing that you have often thought of that little girl who wrote those letters to her soldier daddy, and knowing that she, in turn, must often have wondered about her father's friend, Sergeant Audie Murphy, we've brought her here tonight so that you can meet her at last. Come on out, Claudine. Here she is. And that's...
Hello, Mr. Murphy. I felt it.
He's a mighty swell guy, isn't he, huh?
Oh, sure.
Well, how old are you now, Claudine?
17.
Yes. Where do you go to school?
Irwin High.
Where? In Tennessee? Irwin,
In
Tennessee?
Irwin, Tennessee.
Well, for
right.
goodness sakes, what grade are you in?
11.
And you're still living right there in Irwin, Tennessee, aren't you?
Oh, that's right, with my grandparents.
Yes. Well, it was certainly nice of you to come all the way from Tennessee to become a part of Audie Murphy's present. I can tell you right now, he's feeling very deeply as your father was an important part of Audie's past. Right on. The weary months drag by, the war moves along into the Vosges foothills. On October 2nd, during the Battle of Clary Quarry, a group of officers and enlisted men on reconnaissance patrol are ambushed and pinned down by an enemy machine gun squad.
Murph wasn't even in that patrol. He just tagged along after him.
What do you mean? You didn't have anything to do, so you went along on a maneuver? Is that right, Audie?
No, it was a dull day, so he said, and he didn't have anything else to do, so he just went along.
Is that right, Audie?
Well, I had to keep an eye on him around.
Yeah, well, anyway, you crawled within 15 yards of the patrol and then suddenly stood up. The Germans whirled their machine gun on you, but the barrel caught in a bush limb, and before the enemy could recover, you had thrown 2 hand grenades, killing 3 Germans and wounding 4 more. The 8th, who had escaped the blast, fell victim to your carbine's deadly aim, and for this action, you were awarded the Silver Star. 3 days later, with enemy bullets hitting within a foot of you, you directed mortar fire that resulted in the death of 15 Germans and the wounding of 35 others. An oak leaf cluster was added to your Silver Star. And on October 19th, just 9 days later, Lieutenant Colonel Hallett Edson pinned a gold bar on your shoulder. And this time, Audie, you accepted the commission, but only on the condition that you be permitted to stay with your company. Congratulations, Lieutenant Audie Murphy. A week later, near Saint-Denis, you received your first wound. Where were you hit, Audie? There.
In the hip, right?
In the hip. It knocked you flat so that you were unable to rise.
But Murph held his carbine, pistol fashion, using only one hand, and got that sniper. He still has that jury's rifle.
And the Purple Heart. The Battle of the Colmar Pocket, that was shortly after you came back from the hospital, wasn't it, Audie?
That's right.
You betcha, feller. On the afternoon of January 26th, the Germans attacked your company with 6 tanks and 2 full-strength companies of infantrymen. What did you do there, Audie? I know you don't like to talk about your deeds, but you ordered your men to fall back. Is that right?
Yes, Ralph.
And prepare positions in the rear. But you stayed on alone.
Yes, he did, Ralph, to direct the field artillery fire.
Well, does that voice sound familiar to you, Audie, from out of the past, from over there?
Well, I don't know, Ralph.
It's the forward field artillery observer who was there that day and knows what happened.
Weston.
Lieutenant Walter W. Weispenning of Jamestown, North Dakota.
Glad to see you again.
Yes, indeed. Well, what did happen, Lieutenant Weispenning, according to your first-hand information?
Well, Murph climbed up on a burning tank destroyer loaded with gasoline and ammunition.
Yeah.
It could have blown sky high any minute. He turned the machine gun on the advancing German tanks and infantry, and at the same time over a field telephone, he kept giving us directions of fire for our artillery. Twice the tank destroyer was hit by direct shell fire. His clothes were riddled by flying fragments of shells, and his trouser leg was soaked with blood. When the Germans were within 50 yards of Audie, and a liaison officer asked over the phone, "How close are they now?" Murph replied calmly, "Just hold the phone and I'll let you talk to one of them."
Yes, sir. And after the enemy infantry had been hurled back by the artillery and Audie's machine gun fire, the tanks retreated too. And then you, Audie, limped back to your men, reorganized them, and refusing medical aid, led them in a violent attack that drove the Germans from the area. For this single-handed action, you received the Congressional Medal of Honor. And in the words of one of your men on the field of battle that day, Audie, no man ever deserved it more. When did you return to the States, Audie?
It was in June of 45, Ralph.
Right after VE Day, eh?
That's true.
Yeah, now in February of 1946, you bought a copy of Coronet magazine, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yes, seems to me you did. How did that affect your life, Audie?
Well, drastically, Ralph.
In what manner?
Well, I saw the picture of my wife.
Oh.
Miss Wanda Hendrix.
Wanda what?
Hendrix.
Uh-huh. And you asked to meet the lovely Paramount movie star?
Yes, I'm afraid I played a few politics and arranged it.
Well, sir, she was happy for those politics, I can bet, because you both fell in love, and on January 8th, 1949, you were married to Wanda Hendrix. Yes, indeed.
Thank you, darling.
My, oh, my, Wanda. I'll bet you were happy that day, weren't you?
It was the happiest day of my life, Ralph.
Yes, indeed. A happy day for both of you, Wanda Hendrix and Audie Murphy. I understand you've set down your war years in a book, Audie. What's the name of it now?
to hell and back, Ralph.
Yes. Wanda, why don't you sit down? That's the stuff right there with him. Put your... He can,
thank you.
Now you got a hand to hang on to there. That boy. To Hell and Back, it's called.
That's
a terrific book, too. It's just been published, I understand. Do you plan to go on writing, or will you continue with your picture career, Audie?
Well, I'd like to continue with both, Ralph.
I hear you really did a bang-up job in Bad Boy, the movie, and your book is attracting a lot of attention, so the best of luck to you, Audie Murphy, holder of 24 decorations, including every American medal given for valor, a guy who is modest about his courage, who doesn't like the word hero for himself, who says the real heroes never came back. Audie, your future's been forged by your own experiences. When you look ahead, you think of others rather than yourself. It's shown all along. Others like Claudine Tipton, whose father was your friend. And with this in mind, Audie, Philip Morris would like to devote a portion of your future to Claudine. They'd like to tell her right now that when she's ready to graduate from high school, she'll receive in yours and Wanda's name a complete outfit for commencement, and for her immediate use, a complete young ladies' ensemble, including dress, a wrap, shoes, and all the accessories she needs. Designed by D.D. Johnson, honey, one of the West Coast leading designers and manufacturers of ladies' sports and casual wear. In addition to that, she'll have as a gift a beautiful ensemble to begin her after-school life. Is that okay with you, Claudine?
Oh, that's wonderful.
And as a graduation present, Claudine will receive Her Excellency 21 Jewel Diamond Bulova wristwatch. Beautiful Bulova, engraved from Wanda and Audie Murphy. Now, for you personally, Audie, as a memento of this day, we have something that we understand you've wanted very much to have, a deer rifle, and it's got an inscription on it, too. And finally, since your immediate future, I'm excited now, is closely tied up with your newly published book, Philip Morris wants to suggest to our listeners, and this can be your future, that they can play an important part in Audie Murphy's future by going to their bookshops and buying a copy of Audie's great book, To Hell and Back. That's the title. By Audie Murphy. Now just think, if everyone listening went to their bookstore or sent for a copy of Audie's book, think what it could mean to a guy who did so much for his country. Whatever good life has in store for you, Audie, you've already earned. All of us here on This Is Your Life join with Philip Morris, our audience here in the studio, our listeners, to wish you the very best of luck. Thank you for being with us tonight. And good night, Audie Murphy.
Good night, Ralph.
Good night, Wanda. Good night, baby. Good night, kid.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.